Welcome to Deucecast Extra, live on a Tuesday night per usual, except for next week, we're not going to be here. But this week we are here, just to talk about just the cool stuff that we've been watching, listening to. Espo, I'm very excited about his extra. I know what it is. I'm excited to hear about it. But, per usual, we're just going to kind of talk about the stuff that we've been watching. We may or may not have a question from Garrison. He may or may not have one for us to just have a discussion about. There's always things to discuss, though. We can figure something out. Garrison, did you have something you wanted to say? You looked like you were intently wanting to say something.
I may have just come up with something.
Okay, good. Oh. Yeah, write it down because we're going to start with Espo. How did you extra, my friend?
Well, I'm a resident of Alabama, but I work in Nashville all the time, Tennessee. And as you guys know, I'm a big music fan. So I was able to go to the Ryman Auditorium again. I've been there, I think that makes 3 or 4 times now.
So you're talking about the original, the classic, the old church Ryman Auditorium.
Right, downtown Nashville.
Okay.
It's where the Opry,
the original,
original
used to be there. Yeah,
was that, and that has moved over to the Grand Ole Opry, which is like north east of the city.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, one of the wife's pandemic deep dives was into an 80s band called Squeeze, and we've seen them with the Psychedelic Furs, seen them with Hall & Oates. So we saw they're on their 50th year of being a band, and we saw them on this run. It was just so good. We had excellent seats. We're just like dead center, about 10, 12 rows back. They played every single hit, just flawless guitar playing and lyrics from Squeeze. So just it was a great date night.
Like personally, like I'm super jealous about the other tickets that you bought this week.
Yes, I'll go double extra on that
because it is awesome.
This is pretty epic. The wife and I are obviously big grunge and 90s band fans, and we've been to the UK many times. And I was like, well, I'll go ahead and try to see if I can get these Oasis tickets because they're coming back after 30 years.
So awesome.
And I set my alarm for 2:30. Well, yeah, 2:30. The tickets went on sale at 3. I couldn't have been the 100th person in the queue, and was able to secure tickets for the first night in Edinburgh, Scotland, next August.
That is so awesome, though.
So we have no hotel, we have no flights.
Oh, that's okay.
Tickets.
Yeah, you just got all you need is the ticket. You'll figure the rest of it out.
We'll figure it out. I'll figure it out.
Secure the concert tickets first, and then figure the rest of it out.
Yeah.
Garrison's
so it was
louder now.
Garrison is so...
You can hear his every breath.
You're very agitated about something, Garrison.
No. I'm sorry. I'm just the sound is unbearable, actually, a little bit. So
okay.
I'm.
No, like if Oasis comes to the States, which they already have, they're pretty much like, look, we're making gobs of money doing this in our country and surrounding countries. We definitely need to come to the United States. They will freaking sell out every show. I'm not saying it's going to be like Taylor Swift numbers or whatever, but they will certainly sell out every concert that they do here. Definitely.
These are MP3 collections, Garrison. What is this?
What are we looking at? What is this? Like, are you
external hard drives?
Are you a Circuit City all of a sudden? What are we?
MP3.
You guys don't have 25 terabytes of external hard drives just sitting
No,
around?
I don't.
I do.
I don't even have. Oh wait. I do have this. I've got this. This is the only one I've got, and it's old.
Cute.
It's exactly. It's like old. This has got my complete music collection on it, though. Like,
that's awesome.
My digital, Oh, look, we've all, You're the only Espo. You're feeling
you guys
FOMO here.
Oh, do you guys have a Blu-ray disc burner? Oh
no,
what no, I don't have a Blu-ray disc burner. I do not.
No.
Unless there's one in the computer that Brian built me. What is that? Oh my gosh.
This is a extension cord for work.
Oh, okay. There we go.
It's a very tiny extension cord.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, it doesn't need to be that long. It's not the length that counts.
Yeah, it's how you use it.
Wow.
Exactly.
What's going on here?
Okay. You guys have a USB 3 to RJ45? That's
Yes, of course. I've got thousands of those in my closet over there. Yes, I've got. Yeah.
The dual
do not-
layer 50 gigabyte Blu-ray
What?
discs.
I don't know what's going on. This is
all right. That was my
welcome
extra.
to Radio Shack talk.
This is what's on my desk. Sorry.
Yeah, what's on my desk? Roth from Wyoming. No podcast episode this week, which that's fine. Look, that happens sometimes. But what did how did you extra this week?
Yeah, let's see. I'm currently doing my 7th fantasy football draft. That's my final one, done for
right now.
Yes, right now. It's my $100 buy-in league.
Oh, okay.
So it's my only big money league. Everything else is like $20 or nothing. But my real extra this week was I went to go see a movie that came out. Pretty much the only movie that I wanted to see this weekend. Because everything else, like we covered last week, kind of stunk. I was looking forward to this movie for the, I don't know, past 4 years that it's been bandied about. I was excited when I heard Dennis Quaid was playing Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
I was a little less excited when I saw the trailers. I enjoyed this movie. Was a fine movie.
A fine film.
It was
a fine film.
It was an interesting, they covered everything almost, except for the fact that Reagan probably had Alzheimer's a little earlier than they alluded to. And Nancy may have had a bigger role in the end of his presidency, a la Jill Biden. But it was, I enjoyed it. I went with the fiance and my mother and one of her friends. My mom and her friend bawled like babies at the end.
I've heard that it gets dusty in the theater when you're watching Reagan.
I will admit that I got a little dusty as well.
Yeah.
Just the way they covered some of that final emotional beats. But yeah, overall, it was a fine movie. I gave it like a 72.
Okay. That's strong though. I mean, I do want to see it based upon not only your recommendation, Garrison's recommendation, Scott's recommendation. I mean, it seems like it's really good. So I do want to see it.
I saw Reagan.
Yeah.
I just want to interject real quick. I saw Reagan. It was a lot better than I thought it would be. I thought the structure of the film I really enjoyed, actually. When I first came into it, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be through the eyes of these two communist guys. Oh, this could be really cheesy."
Oh yeah.
I actually thought it was done a lot better, and with a lot better structure than I thought it would be done with. It actually makes me want to read the book. I was surprised by the price tag on this thing.
$25 million, right?
$25 million production budget. I have seen a lot better looking $25 million production budget films. I have to think a lot of that went into the cast. That a lot of these guys were getting the big paydays they're not getting right now in Hollywood.
Yeah, C. Thomas Howell, man. You got to pay him.
Sorbo is in it. And
Sorbo!
Yeah. C. Thomas Howell, John Voight, and, and obviously Dennis Quaid's not getting a huge payday other than this film right now either. So,
well, I don't know. He's in The Substance, so he
that's not a big payday.
Oh,
Mikey.
Scott Sinatra for like 3 seconds.
Oh yeah, Scott stabbed with Sinatra. That's right. I read about that. Yeah, that's hilarious.
I thought story wise it was pretty good. I thought effects wise, and there's especially one egregious shot that totally took me out of the movie. I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. So it's just to see what Jacob thinks. It was the cemetery shot and the shot of his daughter's tombstone. This is the worst effect shot in the movie.
There were so many like terrible green screen background, like zoom out things that would happen.
But that one was the worst.
It definitely was.
The other ones I could move past, and it's terrible because they have a tombstone shot of his mother's tombstone. That looks great. I'm sure it's an actual shot of his mother's tombstone. The one of his daughter is awful. I mean, it takes you out of the movie. It's so bad. Yeah.
Weird.
Anyway,
there were
otherwise
some things for sure in it.
otherwise, I like the acting and I like the story, but the effects could have used a lot of work.
I definitely chuckled when that happened, like out loud in the theater.
So, Ross,
Yeah.
were you? I mean, I vividly remember the Reagan presidency, the Cold War, just all that. Like, so what? I figured you might have a different take on what I experienced Reagan in life, as you may have experienced him through history.
Yeah, I mean that's definitely how I experienced him. I'm really into history. I was into history like pretty much all my time growing up. Like that was kind of my favorite subject. For a while, I wanted to be a history teacher, like a high school history teacher, until I got set up with the college system. But hear this: I'm not taking German, so I can be a American history teacher in high school and coach baseball. Like I'm just not doing it. But yeah, I've always admired Reagan. I think he's definitely one of the best presidents we've had. I like the one of my favorite parts of the movie was the Hollywood anti-communism stuff that he was doing.
Yes, as the VP and the P of SAG. Yeah, the president.
Yep. Bring the Hays Code back. I think we'll have better movies. We'll have and we'll all be a lot happier for it.
That's right.
No, I actually didn't know about his work. I've read some stuff about Reagan. I'm sure I knew some of it, but I did not realize how prolific he was in fighting communism in Hollywood. I knew that he was in Hollywood and that he had done some stuff with SAG, but I did not know that he was actively fighting against the kind of Soviet stooges taking over the unions in Hollywood. So,
and I thought they handled the kind of attack on communism very well while he was president, because I was partially worried that it was just going to be kind of Reagan focused and they weren't going to bring Thatcher or JP2 in at all, and they did. And I very much appreciated it, like that they were kind of true to history and brought up, even though JP2 was just kind of stock footage of like the news when he was on there, but somebody played Margaret Thatcher. Like I thought they handled that all really well.
Cool. No, I definitely want to see it. I mean, I just didn't get her. I chose to see another movie this weekend that was okay, but yeah, I know, Garrison. Everybody loves the movie I saw. It was just okay for me.
I didn't say I love it,
but okay. So, Garrison, what is your extra?
So I saw Reagan, but I saw a second movie this weekend, and I guess I feel like I'm going to get into it on the reflections too, but I'll go ahead and get into it here. Strange Darling, a story told in 6 chapters. I quite enjoyed this movie. It actively lies to you. It tells you that it is a true story. It is absolutely not a true story.
No,
I'm sure it has some basis in some real murders here and there, but there's no real serial killer from the kind of
Andrew,
American Midwest that went through like all the way down to Wyoming, basically, which I thought was interesting. Which at first, when I was watching this movie, I was like, after this movie, I've got to look this up because this is wild.
Yeah, it felt like too wild to me as I was watching it. I was like,
it did, but it told me it was true. So I was like, this is. So I was
like a Blair Witch. Was it like Blair Witch?
They were trying to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Blair Witch. Yeah, they were just trying to.
Coen Brothers. I
like it.
Fargo.
Yeah, so you're like, oh, okay, like I'm kind of into this, but I really loved the way it segmented the story and the way it showed you
non-linear, basically.
It showed you like chapter 5 first or whatever, or it was like chapter 4 actually, but and then kind of like it just kind of throws all the chapters all around and then finally shows you chapter 6 at the end. But I love the way it feeds you the story because it gives you you have a lot of preconceived notions going into the film. And then when you're watching it, you're like, well, this is how the way things are. And then as things kind of unfold backwards for you, you're like, oh, I had this totally wrong in some areas. And I enjoyed that a lot. My expectations were a bit subverted in a way, but in a good way. I had a lot of fun.
You mean the what do they call that?
Release order.
That's just a release order. Yeah, that's not the machete or
the
whatever.
Machete. No, that's not the machete. That's right.
That's 451236.
Or
451. True machete is 45236. They cut off one because they say it's so bad.
Right, exactly. Yeah, true machete. Exactly.
No, it's literally like 4, 2, 3, 1,
Yeah, it's all over the
or
place.
3,
And then
5,
there's
1,
an epilogue too.
6.
There's an
Yeah,
epilogue as well.
and
So.
there is an epilogue. That's true. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
did you stay till the
And
very
a
end?
long shot till the very end.
Did you stay till the after credit scene?
So
Well, it's just after credit audio. I'm sorry.
I looked it up, and it said that there was an audio that played
Yes.
this thing from the radio, and I
It was-
read what the thing said, and I went,
Yeah.
I'm not staying for that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't anything special. The one that surprised me is when your dad said on his show today that there was an after credit scene in Reagan. That's what surprised me. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, really?
Yeah.
What? I did not stay for it. What was the
Okay,
rate?
okay, Jacob. It's just a continuation of the goldfish. Scene.
Oh, yes. Okay, I did look it up.
It's the kid. It's the letter
It's
he gets
the
from the
letter
kid.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's see. What do I want to do for my extra?
I read that the credits were 9 minutes long for Reagan, so I was like, I'm not staying for that.
We did. So
I had to pee.
I'm just gonna be totally lame. I could do a show that I'm watching right now, but I want to say that I've already talked about it at some point somewhere. So I'll just say that I'm just excited that football's back. American football. Sorry, Espo. I know I have to specify American
football. You do,
football.
because I'm into football as well, Michael.
I'm just. It really is the best time of the year. There is no better time of year. And today in Birmingham, there was a little breeze. There was a little crisp in the air. It like sort of started to feel like fall just a little bit. And it's glorious. It's a glorious time of the year. I love it. Even if your team is not doing great, which I am not confident in Oregon at all. Oregon Ducks are my team. Not confident in them at all based upon their performance against Idaho. They looked kind of horrible. And
Garrison, I don't want to hear this, Michael.
I know you guys don't want to hear it.
You won.
I know. I totally understand.
My team lost 48-7.
I wasn't going to bring up
We
your
scored with
teams.
6 seconds left.
I was not going to bring up your teams at all. I wasn't going to because I know that there's lots of pain from Garrison's standpoint and your standpoint. So I wasn't going to bring it up at all. But because yes, Oregon did win, but they looked horrible doing so. So I am not confident against Boise State at all. That's who they've got this coming weekend. I will say that the weirdest thing ever was watching Oregon on the Big Ten network. It was the weirdest experience. I didn't like it at all because the Big Ten network is like the Tubi TV of college football networks. Like it is low quality.
Oh, it's not. It's better than the Pac-12 network. The Pac-12 network.
Oh yeah, no, I will agree that. I hated the Pac-12
because it wasn't
network.
available anywhere.
It really wasn't. I usually had to. I usually had to find a password to like West Coast Comcast or something to be able to watch
Sports
that
Search.
Yeah, or something like that. Like, yeah, exactly. It was Steve Palpatine, huge Alabama fan. They looked good, but they were playing
Western Kentucky.
Yeah, Western Kentucky.
Yeah,
they were playing.
What a big win for that new head coach.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, the Pac-12. There's still 2 Pac-12 teams left, though. They're just hoping that it gets back together next season.
The Mountain West and the Pac-12 just simply need to become like the
Pac Mountain.
Yeah, the Mountain.
What are
like, I don't know, because it just fits. It fits. There's no other option for those. Merge the money because they have a bunch of money.
Totally.
Still.
I feel bad for Oregon State and Washington State. I really do.
For sure.
I do.
Because Oregon State had a couple of good seasons, and then their head coach left once the Pac-12 dissolved and went to Michigan State.
I mean, why wouldn't
he joined the Big Ten too?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why we are getting to play them this season still, so there still will be a quote-unquote Civil War game, but it's like mid-season. So usually the Civil War was at the end of the season, so it's just going to be really strange it being like, I think it's week 4. I'm just like, this is not going to feel right.
Yeah, I mean, now Wyoming plays Washington State because they have the agreement just for this year because they couldn't come to terms for past that. I just saw this week.
Interesting.
It's only going to be for this year.
Is it a home game for Wyoming?
No, they're at Washington State.
Oh, okay. Interesting. That's interesting. Well, Garrison, we did a question last week. If you've got one, we can do that, or
Sure.
we can do. Yeah, go ahead.
I can ask a hypothetical. We're on the eve of Beetlejuice.
Oh yes, we are. Right.
And this is a popular topic of discussion that comes up a fair amount, and I think it's misrepresented a fair amount, because I feel like Hollywood has always done this, and it has always kind of helped the industry continue, but there has been less of original films for sure. So my question is, original big films, but remakes and sequels have always existed. I mean, that's
sure. Yes,
and been big hits too.
Fletch lives.
That's a great one. Will remakes and sequels continue to prop up Hollywood at the box office?
I mean, if anybody,
I'll go. Loaded question.
Yeah, I mean, prop up. I mean, yes, I think that is. Well, if you're from Bob Iger's perspective, definitely that's what his portfolio is going to be, is sequels. He came back to the company, and the mandate was, give me more IP sequels. And so, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that would totally. Now, I'm certainly not.
Yeah, sorry. I was going to say, I totally think that works with the audience. I just see people online all the time like, people are just going to eventually stop going. And I wonder what the argument for that would be, Yeah,
that is totally not true. I mean,
yeah,
there's no data that you can point to that shows that people don't like sequels and remakes and anything. Well, The Crow did not do well at all.
Well, if you make a bad remake,
it has to be good. So
right. But and I've said this before, where the movies that are based on plays, the movie, Alien Ramos.
It's gonna make like 100 million domestic anyway.
I know
movies that are based on plays, like we don't see that.
Tracy's
as much.
right. Yeah.
So we don't see movies that like Glengarry Glen Ross or A Few Good Men.
Yeah.
Anything by Neil Simon.
We see some of those kinds of things, but they come to streaming now more than they come to theaters.
Yeah. But like The Holdovers felt like that to me.
Oh yeah, The Holdovers was good. Yeah.
But so while we wait for those sort of movies, or like this sort of resurgence of good writing, then I think we need the IP based movies to prop up Hollywood.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the fall is still the place for original dramatic type movies, and that's what we'll continue to see. I mean, we're not going to. If you look at
season,
if you look at this coming Wednesday's episode of the Deucecast movie show, we talk about the fall movies that are coming out. And the majority of them are original films, but
such highbrow films like My Old Ass.
Yes, exactly. But I mean, to Brian's point, that is an original story, original screenplay. It may or may not do well financially, but a lot of those are coming out in the fall because that's like quote unquote Oscar season or whatever. But what about you, Roth? What do you think on the subject?
Yeah, I mean, I think like most things, everything will go and fade as time goes by. We're in like the big sequel era right now, and that is what is. But as they keep making them, people will get tired of them, and people will stop going, and they'll like. And I think mainly they'll stop going because we're seeing it. I think largely as they're decreasing in quality. And that will drive up the demand for original. We'll get a 10-year span of those, and then it's cyclical.
It's cycle. Okay.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I really think it depends on the IP, but I would agree that maybe you can't just do any sequel and people will go see it. I would agree with that. But the thing to me is, just totally crazy to me is Beetlejuice right now is projected to make like 100 to 110.
Yeah,
this
it's tracking and I'm like, much better than I
did not realize people cared this much about a Beetlejuice sequel.
I mean, I was 17 when that came out, and it was massive. I mean, just incredible movie. Everybody loved it.
Yeah. My wife is like, this is the movie she's been waiting for this year only. She doesn't care about any other movie. This is the one movie, and because she usually doesn't go to the movies unless it's like a Tom Cruise movie or this. I mean, and so she's super excited about seeing that this weekend.
Wow.
So
Cool.
we'll definitely be
Well,
seeing it.
all right.
Seen the first one.
Oh, you haven't?
I
even
haven't
seen the
either.
first one?
I haven't
Yeah.
either.
It's worth watching.
Oh wait! You guys have not seen the OG Beetlejuice?
I've seen the first like 15 minutes.
Okay.
It's
I
worth
might watch
watching.
it after the podcast
Yeah, it's fun.
because we
That's
have
good.
a early screening tomorrow at 7. I'm going to see if I can make that.
Nice.
Yeah, it's.
Oh,
I think it's fun.
that's right. I remember this. On Sunday, we had signs posted on our door, on the like window doors into the theater, saying, "I'm sorry, pre-screening of Beetlejuice has been canceled." 'Cause I
Oh
think there's
no!
showtimes on Sunday. They're like,
Wow.
at the last minute pulled it and moved it to Wednesday.
Mm.
Steve Palpatine has an important question for you, Roth.
Probably not. Brett, she is like in her 70s, I think.
That doesn't stop Rhett. That
No,
doesn't
that's
stop.
No problem.
firecracker. She's a widow. She's single too. Brett. I mean, Steve.
He's flying to.
I'm just prepping to go see
She'll be
this
athletic.
movie. I'm prepping to see this movie.
Oh
May
yeah, that's gonna be a good one to see. I got mine today too.
25th.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I mean, I think that the conversation that I always hear around this particular question is people complaining, but that's very internet. I mean, that's what people
Yeah.
do on the internet is complain about it. But I mean, those same people that are complaining about it go see them. They go see the sequels. They'll like bitch and moan about there being too much, but then they'll still go see it. I mean, it's just that's just the way that people are.
You know, we didn't need a Ghostbusters. You know, the second
you know
one
what?
was good.
Frozen Empire was not great.
No.
It was.
I
not
enjoyed
great.
Afterlife
Yeah.
personally, but
Right,
yeah,
right.
Frozen
And so-
Empire was not for me.
And so, like you mentioned, Garrison, you can go to that well, or maybe it was Roth. You can go to that well too much sometimes.
Mhm.
Now, I think that Pixar is insulated from that. So even though people right now are complaining about there being a Toy Story 5, I guarantee you everyone will go see Toy Story 5.
I remember people complaining about Toy Story 4 being a thing. I do remember that because Toy Story 3 was such a final moment.
Right.
I
It
remember
felt
that.
like a final thing,
I remember that part of my childhood. Toy Story 3 was a big deal. And when Toy Story 4 was announced, I remember, there's a lot of people who were like, well, you know, it's kind of over. Why do we need to go see that? And it still made $1 billion. So
exactly.
Lion King is a great example of. I never saw that. I've still never seen it. But,
oh, really?
But I know a lot of people who did, and it made a lot of money.
No longer the number one animated film.
Has finally been dethroned.
Dethroned, yeah.
Well, you know, I saw the trailer for the new Lion King. I'll say animated in air quotes.
Mufasa.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, this is not animated. It's digital, but it's not. To me, that's not animation.
Some would argue that it's animation.
But I'm like, I have no desire to go see that. I mean, zero. Like,
I'll end up going to see it just because I've got kids and they'll want to go see it. Like my youngest loves anything Lion King based. So
I'm not going to be surprised if that's a hit. I'm really not.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure that it will be.
And Barry Jenkins, look, I don't love the trailers, and but Barry Jenkins is a really good director.
Yeah,
I'm not going to fully count it out.
Right. No, I would never count anything to do with Lion King out. I mean, there's a lot of kids that will want to go see that film.
It's so weird that was his pivot, though. Barry Jenkins. That's such a weird move.
And Steve makes a good point here about how Ghostbusters being kind of a pointless comedy with Three Amazing Comics at the time. Right now, they tried to make it more of an action film.
Yeah, well,
really
they really tried to make it Stranger Things, is what they tried to do.
Of course,
with the Afterlife reboot, you bring in Finn Wolfhard, and it's a lot more serious tone, but there is some comedy, and you've got Paul Rudd in there for that. And then you bring in the OG cast at the end, and there's a nice little send off for Harold Ramis. I really like that stuff. For me, that really worked. But
I mean, Ramis
Frozen
was all
Empire.
over the place.
Yeah.
He was all over the place in the 80s. So I mean, at Stripes, you know.
So I apologize for anybody in the chat with Steve Palpatine, vile human being that he is, with a name like that.
We can't take this anywhere.
Yeah, you can't take him anywhere.
bad.
But no, it's a good question, and I think it's an ongoing conversation because I think a lot of people, as excited as they were about some of the titles announced at D23, I think some people were scoffing at like Toy Story 5 being mentioned. I think even some people are like, do we really need a Zootopia 2? I mean, it'll do really well overseas. It'll do well here, but Zootopia 2 is beloved overseas. It will do really well over there.
Yeah.
In the Asian Rim, it will.
I
do
still
very
need to
well.
see Zootopia.
The first one's good. I mean,
That was kind of the era of Disney cartoons that I just stopped watching for a
Right.
little bit, where it wasn't that I didn't want to see it. I just was like, oh, that came out. Oh, I'll
I
see it
do like
eventually.
that they were so bold that they went ahead and said yes, Frozen 3 and 4. I mean, they're just like
Yeah.
throwing
Yeah.
both. They're like, yeah, there will be a fourth one. We will do that.
Frozen
I mean,
3 Infinity War and Frozen 4 Endgame. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. And then, of course, we've got Avatar, the sequels that, again, people scoff at it, but it makes $1 billion.
It makes $2 billion.
$2 billion, yeah. And this one will look. I'm scoffing at this movie being in existence next year, but I will go see it and probably.
See, you scoffed at the last one, and then when it came out, you were like a fanboy.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it. I mean, look, the moment towards the end of that
It's
movie,
too long.
Way of Water, at the end of Way of Water, there was some James Cameron old school like action sequences.
I don't disagree. That boat little sequence at the end was
Yes.
pretty good.
Oh,
I just think
dude,
I think the
that
movie
was
overall is
awesome.
a little too long. But
Yeah.
and
It's
the whale with the whale storyline was really.
yeah, the ones are so bad and stupid.
Brian, have you seen any of these Avatar films?
I've seen I saw Avatar 1 circa
Just
19
watch
whatever.
Dances with Wolves.
Oh, 9.
Honest.
Oh no.
Again, Steve, I can't throw that up. I mean, people will just have to find that on their own, I guess.
Hey, how does Steve feel about the eyes of the alien? I know how much he loves
He
the
does.
eyes of
the fake eyes.
Kaminoans, but
Kaminoan, the longing looks of the Kaminoans.
but how does he feel about the alien eyes in Avatar? That's my
What are those
question.
called? The Navi. How do you feel
Yeah,
about the Navi?
the Navi eyes.
I think the Navi might be too lanky for Steve.
Oh,
Mm.
Valerian was great.
Oh, but
No, I hated
hey,
Valerian.
Kaminoans are lanky.
Well, that's true. The Kaminoans are pretty lanky. You're right. That's true. Very, very
Steve's
good.
probably got like a Nalase plushie.
He does.
Oh, absolutely.
That's not what he has. He's got something else. I would say.
Blow up doll.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. All right. Well, this is degrading quickly. Well, good question. And that's going to be it this week, though. We really don't have much else. This next week we're going to take the week off. I think the week after, what we will do, we'll have our extra, but then instead of a question, we'll sort of have like a preview of the two shows we're going to cover, because we are going to cover Agatha All Along and we're going to cover the Penguin. So maybe we'll just go over like the characters and stuff like that, just so people can kind of be ready for those two shows.
You can do your WandaVision rewatch if you want to.
Well, there is going to be some
Right.
elements of WandaVision that probably come up in Agatha All Along. I would say.
Yeah,
has to be.
just well, the ending of it sets up that she's kind of trapped, I think. So
Right,
she'll have to get out of that
exactly. So-
initially.
I will say real quick, I am kind of glad that Dr. Earl's not here so he can't shame me for not watching Rings of Power yet.
I've never finishing that show.
I have enjoyed the 3 episodes that they released.
Okay.
I thought that they were okay.
I've only
I'm
seen
not-
on Twitter, mainly Critical Drinker being very upset about an orc.
Well, he's
He's always upset.
he'll always be.
Oh, wait a
upset.
minute. Was he upset about the orc child? Is that what he
Yes.
was?
Yes.
Well, he doesn't obviously understand Lord of the Rings then. I mean, the orcs. Okay, we're not going to get into this, but okay, but just for a second.
yeah.
These orcs that had the child were like exiled, or how do you want to put it? Not exiled, but just like deformed elves. These were not the orcs that were created from the mud.
with the hand.
These are different type of orcs. These
they're
are
not
orcs.
Urukai.
They're not Urukai. Exactly.
Okay.
See, I don't know all the lingo. They're not Urukai. This is an actual species that should have children. I mean, so it's just,
They need to procreate.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what would or so anybody that complains about that doesn't really know what they're talking about. So Critical Drinker messed up on that one. He's usually pretty sharp on that stuff, but that is super low hanging fruit, to be honest. I mean, the people that got upset about that, because he's not the only one. But anyway, that's right. Sorry, Steve. It's not that bad of a show.
I found it to be.
I may watch an episode or two tonight. We'll see how invested I get into college football.
Oh no, you're right. I'm exactly.
I mean, we know you're invested.
Yes, we know you're very invested.
Got any good prize picks?
That's the problem with the fall is that for me, college and NFL totally suck up so much of my time. So.
I'm sorry, I meant college football 25, the video game tonight.
You're talking about the video game. See,
hey, tell Steve to start up that online dynasty.
Yeah, Steve, get me your sliders.
What are you guys even talking about?
We've had a private group chat at one point.
Okay.
But.
He's like, give me a day and I'll have all the sliders for you. It's been like a week.
Yeah, calling you out. Oh, he said almost, but he didn't. He almost did though, but he didn't.
See, the Emperor will be upset with you. And
I haven't played in weeks, and I'd wreck you.
I have also decided, Garrison, I am not going to be playing as Wyoming. I think I'm going to play as
yeah, it's probably a good idea.
You should probably play as Miami if Cam Ward's the quarterback.
No, you shouldn't. No.
I'm going to do Nebraska. We'll have 3 different conferences that way.
Until they update rosters, Cam Ward's not that great.
Well, okay, that's true.
I played him online and picked him off like 6 times in one game, so I'll just say I don't think he's that great. Maybe the other guy sucked. I don't know.
Well, we are going to take it easy playing video games and watching movies or whatever. There's no football on tonight, unfortunately, but I'll find something to watch, I'm sure. Espo Off the Grid can be found in the Discord server that we lovingly call the Deucecast. If you're checking this out later and you're interested in checking out our Discord server, you can always email us at thedeucecast@gmail.com. I can send you a link if I can tell that you're not a Russian bot or something weird like that. Roth, what is remind us what'd you say?
What? Nothing.
Remind us what's coming up for Good Day for a Movie podcast.
Yes, Good Day for a Movie podcast. We were off this week, unfortunately, but next week we will be back with Interview with the Vampire.
Oh, yes.
Oh.
And maybe a certain someone may be appearing on the podcast.
Oh. That's exciting.
He's back.
A blast from the past, if you will.
Yep.
I like that.
Yep.
That's good. That's good news. Where can people find you on the interwebs?
Roth Wyoming, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd. I actually watched a non-podcast movie recently, which being Reagan, which we talked about tonight. So I'm going to, now that the hot weather's done with, I don't have to be outside, going to get less busy, just going to be watching football and watching movies and planning a wedding.
Amen. That's good
There we
stuff.
go.
Love to hear it. Garrison, where can people find you on the interweb?
You can find me on Twitter at GRyfun3, GRYFUN3. You can find me on Letterboxd at GRyfun, GRYFUN. And that's about it.
Although
tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow the fall preview for 2024 drops. I spent 8 hours on this past Saturday. Instead of watching football, I put together our fall movie preview. And I may have gone too far. I may have spent too much time.
Yeah, 8 hours is a lot. That's
what are you?
I'm repeatedly leaking David's choices for his
yes,
Dave Stalgia.
Dave Stalgia, exactly.
If someone can freeze frame that, good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Dave did pay off Dave Stalgia finally. That was his summer project, and we finally got around to doing that. Garrison will also be joining us next week for our regular Reflections episode. Dr. Earl is overseas, if you will, and so he is off
Doctors
the grid.
Without Borders. Yeah,
he is off the grid completely. Like he told us goodbye, and he was like, "Maybe you'll hear from me too, maybe you won't."
Is he going like to visit the uncontacted like tribes overseas? And
apparently
There'll be video footage of like a helicopter
Exactly.
His head will be on a spear. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So hopefully in a couple weeks you'll hear from Dr. Earl again, but
Hopefully.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe
Wow.
not. I don't know. It just depends on how things go over there where he is. But Steve Palpatine, as always, thank you for dominating the chat and making yourself watch or laugh, I guess. I don't know. Tracy, I'm sorry you had to endure Steve Palpatine. Andrew, thanks for stopping by. For
I knew he was going to comment that. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. That was a good story.
A mime is a terrible thing to waste.
A mime is a terrible thing to waste. That was a good episode 500 callback. Well done, Steve. Again, I encourage everyone that is going to be watching this, whatever side of the aisle you're on, watch the debate next Tuesday just for fun. Just for kicks and giggles. Watch that debate next Tuesday. That's what I'm going to be doing. It'll be a dumpster fire for both sides, and I cannot wait to watch that dumpster fire.
Kamala is going down.
Yes. No, Comrade
Kamala, thank you very much. I forget my nicknames. I have so many of them, and they're so great and amazing. Everybody's saying it. Everybody is.
That's true. Everyone's saying it. So again, thanks, Espo. See you jokers in a couple of weeks, and we'll talk about maybe some stuff about Agatha all along in the Penguin. Everyone have a great night. Go watch some TV or play a video game or something.